Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a garden tour and harvest, and since I didn't get to the June garden tour as early as I would have liked, we're just going to combine those two videos. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go over like each large section of the garden, and then afterwards we're going to harvest everything in that section and then move on to the next part. That way we can just move it along because we've got a lot to do today and a lot to cover. We are located in Virginia, gardening zone 7A. It is late June right now, and we have definitely had a little bit of like a drought period. I think it's only rained once for like a very short minute, one time in like the last couple months. So it's been so dry around here. So we've just been watering the garden a ton and hoping that everything is like doing okay. For the most part, everything looks fine, but it would be really nice if we got some rain around here sometime soon. But anyway, since it is like the end of June right now, we're really ramping into like the summer garden harvesting time. So some of the things we're going to be picking today are cucumbers, zucchini. Our green beans also just started, and we have lots of raspberries to pick, and we'll probably have a couple of other random things thrown in there as well, but those are some of the highlights. So I'm going to get started by showing you the first part of our garden, which is the front raised bed area. So let's get started. Here's an overview of what the garden looks like from the front. Honestly, the raised bed garden is a little bit like emptier and more sparse than it usually is. Usually this is like the most productive part of our garden, but I feel like I have a lot of beds that are like kind of empty, or things have been struggling, or maybe it just seems that way because I have like a lot of different things in each bed. Whereas in other parts of the garden, I've tried to keep it to like one bed would be one thing, if you know what I mean. But anyway, here is the first bed where, like I said, I have like a medley of things here. I've got some borage that volunteered. I have a couple zucchini plants. I have some beans and some random tomatoes. Oh, and I also found some of this lettuce leaf basil at a nursery, and I got a start of those. Which is great because I did want to grow these this year, but I didn't have the seed, so it was nice I was able to find the starts. Alright, I'm going to be hopping in and out of voiceover here because our neighbors naturally decided to start using their power tools at this moment. So here I have an edamame plant, and you can see that the pods are starting to form, and we've got more of this going on in other parts of the garden as well, which I'll show you later. But here is the next bed, and this is a whole bed of yellow onions, and they have just been looking so sad. I am pretty positive this is just because of the really dry weather we've been having, because during the point where they needed a lot of water and moisture to start forming those bulbs was exactly when we had the drought. So I feel like these just didn't get as large as they normally would have, and they really just decided to give up on life and they fell over. The necks are kind of all dried out. So today we're just going to go ahead and pick this entire bed of onions. They're a little bit on the small side, but they feel really dry and they don't look like they're going to keep growing. In the next bed, I have some of my sweet bell peppers here, and they are starting to flower and form some small peppers, but not like a whole ton of development here other than the plants just growing. So we'll save that for next time once I have some actual peppers to show. But there is some nice development with the plants growing up and climbing this trellis. I have a really nice cucumber plant here. This is the Suyo Long variety, and I think we have a couple to harvest today. And this variety has been really productive for us this year, and I can pick multiple cucumbers each day off of this one plant. I've also got a tomato plant here. I think this is the pink bumblebee variety, and we have some green tomatoes forming here. And then in the last bed, we have just harvested a ton of potatoes with our nephew, which was the last video. First, we have a kukutsa gourd, and then I also have a little patch of kale and dill on the side. Now we can move on to the other side of the raised bed garden. In the first bed, I do have some eggplant seedlings, but they're not looking very good. And on the left side of the bed, I've got another little patch of onions that again looks very sad. These are my red onions, and yeah, they're just like popping right out of the ground. They're super dry looking and again very small. Doesn't look like they're gonna grow much, so today we're going to also harvest all of these. And for my eggplant seedlings, this first one actually doesn't look half bad, but the other ones are really puny. So yeah, probably not going to do anything, and I'll probably fill in this space with something else. The next bed is another bed of onions. These are my white onions, and surprisingly, these actually look really good compared to all of the other onions in my garden. You can tell how the leaves of these ones, they're still really green and they're sticking up straight, they're not falling over, and they're bulbing up really nicely. So I'm not really sure why these ones are just doing a lot better than the other ones. It could be the variety, or it could be that I somehow like water this bed a little bit more. But either way, they're looking really great, so we're not going to pick these. We're going to let them keep growing. And then in between the onions, I also have some pepper seedlings. Although the leaves are getting really chewed up by something, I'm not really sure what it is, because I haven't ever really had an issue with anything eating my pepper seedling leaves. This is a variety called Karma that I got from the local nursery, and it is making some baby bell peppers. So we'll see if they'll do okay, even though the leaves are getting eaten. In the next bed on the very edge, all of my Canterbury bells are kind of like dying out, so I am at the point where I think I'm just gonna cut these back for the season because they've already done their blooming in the spring and put on a really nice show. And then in the other part of the bed, I have a random assortment of things. I have some beets, some beans are coming up in the empty spaces that I just seeded in, so you can see the little seedlings popping up in the soil here. And then I also have a winter melon plant that's growing at the base of the arch trellis, and it's just getting going, and soon enough it's going to cover the entire thing because these plants can get really huge and really take over, which I am excited for. And then in the very last bed, I have some of my determinate tomatoes here. These are probably like the best looking tomato plants in the whole garden right now. It makes sense because these are some of my favorite varieties. I have Ace 55, Celebrity, and BHN 1021, and these are all pretty much like mid to large size red tomatoes, and I'm super excited for these to start ripening so that we can start eating them. And then just one last little area to the side here. This is where we have a couple of trellises, and the back one's not doing much, but the front one we do have a bunch of rattlesnake pole beans here. These beans are super pretty. They are green with this like purple streaking, and they make really long beans. And the season for beans is just getting started, so these first ones especially always look really, really nice, and they're more tender. As it starts to get really hot, the beans can get a little bit tough and stringy, but right now they are just perfect. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers it for the raised bed portion of the tour. So we're going to go ahead and harvest everything that we've gone over in this area. So these are the onions we picked from the bed. They're definitely not the biggest onions, I think just because of the lack of water this spring and summer. But we do have lots of them, just lots of little baby onions. Some of them are an okay size, like this one is pretty good, but that's probably about the biggest of the onions that we picked. So here's everything we picked just from the front part of the garden, the raised beds. We've got lots of little onions, some green beans. We have more to pick in the back, and then a couple of cucumbers. We have a whole bed of raspberries on the side here as well. I don't usually show this part because other than when the raspberries are producing, there's not really much going on, but right now we are picking tons of raspberries. I think we're picking like a couple of cups of raspberries every day, and I have had to put some bird netting over it because I have had a lot of birds eating our raspberries this year and just all of our berries. So that has really helped a lot. But we're just gonna pick over this area really quickly. I don't know what variety of raspberry this is because we just got some canes from our neighbor who had some extra ones that they were thinning out one year. So no idea what the variety is, but they're super productive. The only thing is they do have lots and lots of thorns, which makes picking not really that much fun, but it is really worth it for the fresh raspberries. Next up we have our Vego garden bed here to the side, and half of this bed right now has some kale in it. This is some dazzling blue kale, and it is looking really gorgeous, and I do have to come out and harvest and preserve a bunch of this. It's not going to be today. I think I'm going to do that on its own day just to keep it nice and fresh since I'll have a lot to deal with this evening, but the kale is looking really beautiful for the most part. And on the other side of the bed I have some more of my determinate tomatoes. I've got a couple of the same larger varieties as from the other bed, and then I also have this slightly smaller tomato called Raspberry Liana. This is a new one that I'm trying this year, and the tomatoes do look really cute. But we don't have anything to harvest in this bed, so we're gonna move on for now. Here is the first part of our back garden, and we've got a couple different areas. We have on the left a row of zucchini, which we are going to be harvesting from today. I do already see some pretty big ones. And then we've also got another row that has a raised bed, and in the back we have our tomatoes. We are definitely in prime zucchini season right now. We've been harvesting so much, and I've already preserved some of it, and we're eating it multiple times a week, which is really awesome. In the back part of this row we also have some okra plants, which are looking really small but are starting to flower, and in the very back I have a couple of zinnia seedlings growing as well. In the next row over, I have a couple of very terrible looking Napa cabbages. I'm gonna pull these out and give them to the chickens. And in that same bed, I also planted in my sweet potato slips, and then around that, I've also sown in some bean seeds, which are just popping up now, so that'll take over soon enough. And in the very last portion, I have some speckled Roman plum tomatoes, which unfortunately, I don't know if I'm gonna get very much out of these plants because they are dealing with a lot of blossom end rot, which is really linked to like moisture issues, whether it's too much or too little water. And also these plum-shaped tomatoes seem especially prone to getting blossom end rot, which you can tell because I have my plum-shaped tomato seedlings. Pretty much everyone has blossom end rot, and then right next to that in the same bed I have like a larger different shaped tomato, and they're looking just fine. But yeah, that unfortunately has been an issue and a side effect of the drought we've been having. And I also just wanted to show you quickly on the side of our shed here, we do have a grapevine, which is putting off lots of clusters of grapes. These are kind of like a hit or miss as to whether or not we actually get to harvest any later on due to various issues, usually bug related, whether it's the Japanese beetles or wasps. But as for right now, the grapes are looking really nice and they are really fun to look at. back garden that we have redesigned and completely redone this year has just been such an amazing space. For the most part, everything's doing really well, and we'll have a lot to pick in here today. I'm kind of going to go around this garden area in a circle. So when you first enter to the left, we have a couple of cucumber plants. This first one over here is called Bait Alpha, and I think this is one of my favorite cucumber varieties that I've grown. I love that the cucumbers don't have any of the spines on them, and they also grow to be like the perfect size, and they're really sweet. So we're going to be picking some of these, and the perfect size I think for these is about like 6 inches. It's kind of like a perfect baby cucumber size. And then down the side of the garden, we also have our hot peppers here. These, kind of like the sweet peppers, are just starting to flower and form some baby peppers, at least the ones that I started from seed. So you can see some flowers forming here. But then I also have some plants that I got as starts, and those have little baby serrano peppers on them right now. And then at the back of this row, we have a bunch of dragon tongue bush beans, and we are going to pick some of these today. They have just started forming the beans, which are really pretty. They're yellow with purple streaking, but you can see lots of baby beans, so we're gonna have lots of beans to pick over the next couple of weeks. Then on the back side of the garden, I have my last row of onions. This is another yellow onion variety, and these ones are looking pretty good. They're not dried out and the tops are still green, so we're going to leave these here for now, and they seem to be growing okay. And then along the last side, I just have to show you this edamame plant. It is insane how many pods are on this plant. They are just so productive and so fun to grow, which is why it's one of my favorite things to grow in the garden. I don't think these pods are quite ready to pick yet, but they will be very soon. And there are so many pods on each of these plants. Really, really fun. Definitely try growing soybeans if you haven't grown them before. And then all along this last row, we also have a massive wall of mammoth sunflowers, which I absolutely love. I think the tallest ones are probably over 8 feet now, so it's going to be a really nice show once they start blooming. Down the center aisle, we have a couple of rows with trellises. At the front, I do have some Cosmo plants, which haven't started blooming yet, but I did catch this onion fly on camera. Absolutely hate these things. And then let's take a little look at some of the tomatoes we have growing. We just picked our very first tomato, which was a Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato, which you can see here. And we've got lots more green tomatoes growing that are coming right behind that first one. We are going to be in tomato season very soon, but it's just so much fun to walk in this garden every evening and kind of see the development on the tomatoes, see how crazy shaped and how big some of them are getting. And we just have so many green tomatoes forming, and I'm so excited for all of them to ripen and for us to get into peak tomato season. We do have some issues with blossom end rot back here as well on these tomatoes because of moisture issues, but not as bad as with my plum and paste tomatoes. Usually the larger tomatoes I'll get a few, but for the paste tomatoes, it's almost like every single tomato has blossom end rot, unfortunately. We also have lots of beautiful marigolds sprinkled in around this garden, which adds a really nice color. And then this last tomato variety here is a Hungarian heart, which I'm using as paste tomatoes this year, and they are very large, but still I have some issues with rotting on those as well. Then on the last part of one of my trellises, I have all of my drying beans back here, and I think I have like 6 different varieties, so as of this point I don't really know which variety is what because I won't know until I'm shelling the beans. But I do have a really fun assortment of like different size and shaped pods. Even though they're all beans, they still look very different, and the actual shelled beans are going to look really different as well. So I'm really excited to harvest those once they get all dry and I can use them as dry beans. So that's a really quick overview of this last part of the garden, so let's get to harvesting everything that's in this area. Lastly, I just really quickly want to show the progress in our pumpkin patch area in our old flower garden. No pumpkins to show yet, but they are starting to vine and starting to flower as well. So I'm really hoping that we get some pumpkins growing here very soon. Here is our finished harvest. We've got all our onions, lots of different kinds of cucumbers. I have so many kinds of cucumbers. This is Suyo Long, this is a marketer cucumber, and then this is the Bait Alpha. Then we have some zucchini, 2 different kinds of green beans. This is the dragon tongue, and this is the rattlesnake pole bean, a bowl of raspberries, and then we also picked some chamomile and hyssop. And I also walked around the garden and picked a nice bouquet of flowers just because we had lots of pretty things blooming. The footage at the end there did get a little bit sparse because I dropped my camera and I think I broke it, but hopefully I showed enough of it. But yeah, that's it for this tour and harvest. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. She's like trying to get more and she hasn't even eaten that mouthful yet.
There's so much ham.